Hi, this is going to be a time trial on how long my Homeyear's 518 watt hour little power station here can run my Arctic King 3.5 cubic foot chest freezer. Now I'm not sure how long this will run, but if it runs up to 10 hours I will have to shut it off. It is 11:26, so I figure if it does run to 9:26, that would literally be 10 hours. I don't know if it will run 10 hours. I don't know if it runs 7 hours. But I'm going to see today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to check this every hour and see where it's at here and check on the time. And I will open the chest freezer, which is something you really don't want to do a lot, is open your chest freezer, open and close it if your power's out and running off a power station. But if you have to get something out to make for lunch or dinner, then I'm going to try to add that time in. That's why I'm going to open it. I'm going to check the inside of the freezer. I'm going to show you the inside of the freezer now. If you're going to run a chest freezer off a portable power station or a power station or solar generator, is what they're called, always try to make sure it is froze first. It does take quite a long time for these to actually freeze if they are thawed out. Alright, let's get to the test. Compressor just kicked on. I don't know if you heard it. The compressor did just kick. Now I did have this chest freezer unplugged for about 10 minutes before I started this test. It was unplugged, plugged into the back of the power station with it off, so it's getting no power for about 10 minutes. Another thing is when you're charging this, there is a red light here that will turn green when it is fully charged. Alright, I will end this now. It is 11:28, so probably about 12:30. I will come back. I will check this. I will check this every hour and see where it's at as far as power consumption. Alright, I will be back. Bye. Okay, it has been just over 1 hour. It is 12:31. I apologize, it's a little late. I was actually filming another video and putting it on my laptop. That's why I'm running just a minute late, 12:32. The power station at 1 hour is still 100%. Okay, now let's move this and check inside to make sure it's not thawing out. Nope. And you can actually hear, I don't know if you can hear it over the phone here. It is running. And see, my little mini fridge is still plugged in down there. I apologize, I can't get enough light. This'll do. And, there's only one thing plugged in. That is the mini fridge. This is my Arctic King 3.5 cubic foot chest freezer plugged into this power station. Now this is going to be a time trial to see how long it can run. Unfortunately, if it runs over 10 hours, I will have to shut the test down. But if it runs this thing over 10 hours, then you know that it can definitely make it through a night. Now this is not a super large power station. It is only 518 watt hours with a 500 watt DC to AC pure sine wave inverter built in. For the price of this, if it runs my chest freezer and keeps my food cold and good for, I would even say 8-9 hours, I would be thrilled. If it makes it to 7 hours, I wouldn't be surprised. But if it makes it up to 10 hours, that'll be something. Alright, I am fixing to go. I'm going to have a lot of parts to this video that I will have to merge all together. and then I can show you what's going on with it. I will be back in an hour, and you did see I did open the door. It is 12:34. I'll be back in an hour at 1:30 or so. Alright, bye. Alright, this is an update. It is 1:30. The power station here still shows at 100%. This is after 2 hours of running my chest freezer. I don't know if there's something wrong with this or if it actually still is 100%. It's a good possibility. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you so you do know. Here's the cable. And right there, if you can see it, it twists around here and goes back that way. Yeah. I hope you can see that. But this chest freezer is plugged in to the power station. It has been for 2 hours. It is still showing 100%. I do hear the chest freezer running. So I will be back in another hour. That will be at 2:30 and show you what's going on then. Alright, till then, bye. Okay, it's 2:30. I'm fixing to check this. Now the battery pack here is still saying 100%. I don't know if this is correct, but I do know the chest freezer has been turning off and on. It's like once an hour or something like that. So it hasn't been pulling a lot of power. These chest freezers do not use a lot of energy. Now for a real testing, I should have really tested it with my Crossway fridge. It does kick off and on much more than my chest freezer does. But let's take a look inside. Everything's still froze. It's still cold. I can feel the cold air from here. Not an issue whatsoever. So, this makes 3 hours that has been running. In 3 hours, it still says 100%. Now, what I may do before I check the next hour, I will shut this off and turn it back on and see if the numbers go down or if it stays at 100%. That way I can make sure. Because if this thing is running this literally for 3 hours and it hasn't dropped to at least 99%, I mean, this thing would probably run my chest freezer for 24 hours. So what I'm going to do is, before I check it the next time, I'll make sure my chest freezer's off. I'll turn this off and back on and see if it still shows 100. If it does, there possibly could be something wrong with the digital readout, or my chest freezer is just not using that much power out of this battery power station. Alright, that's it. I will be back in an hour at 3:30. It is 2:32. Okay, I will see you in an hour. Bye. Okay, it is 3:30. Now, there's something I discovered. If I unplug my chest freezer and plug it back in, it still shows 100%. But it will drop once the compressor kicks on. Let me see if I can get this thing to actually show you what I mean. Let's see. This will drop to 86.6 sometimes, and then when the compressor kicks off, it will jump back up to 100. I'm not sure what that means. I'm not sure if the display is not registering right. I would go with the 86.6 to be on the safe side at 4 hours, because it is 3:31. But like I say, if I unplug it and then plug it back in, the display will jump down to 86.6 after 4 hours. So I don't know if there's something wrong with the display, or if it's not reading correctly, or if it's just when the compressor's on, it's pulling power and dropping this down. And when the compressor goes off, it jumps back up when the load is pulled off. Because after 4 hours, this is still reading 100%. Now I will know tomorrow, because tomorrow I'm going to be testing it on this one. Now there is a huge difference between these two. One, you can see this does have the 12 volt port right there. This also has wireless phone charging. If you're going to charge a phone wirelessly, that is a very inefficient way to do it. We do not have any phones that charge wirelessly, so that's very inefficient. Something else you need to understand about these, you really need to plug them in at least once a month. I just have this one charging up, making sure it's fully charged for the test tomorrow, because I want to make sure it's fully charged. That one has an automatic shut off. This one does too. This one has a light. This one does too. But the display on that one seems to work much better. I will talk about that tomorrow when I test this one tomorrow. There's going to be a huge difference between this one and this one. I will be washing clothes tomorrow, which means I will be running my dryer. So it will be much, much warmer in here. So if you want to know about what this can handle, like I said, if it runs till 9 o'clock tonight, that's 10 hours, I'll be happy with it. If that still shows 100% at 9 hours, there's definitely something wrong with the display on this. And there is actually no other way really to check anything unless like you shut off the AC. And if you turn on the DC, it still shows, there we go. It says 44.4, but then, you know, nothing. Turning on the lamp, excuse me, doesn't do anything. So if I turn on the AC, there we go. Did you see how that jumped up and down? I don't think this, after 4 hours, I mean, I guess it is possible, because my chest freezer pulls maybe 35 watts and it says 1.1 amp, and it literally takes $20 a year to run my chest freezer. So in fact, this could be possible. It still could be at 100%. Once I test this one, I will pretty much know the runtime of this one, because this is 518 watt hours. That one is 515 watt hours. So however long that will run it, this will run it just a little bit longer. I will test this one tomorrow on my chest freezer. Like I said, I really should have tested them on my refrigerator here, because it does kick off and on a great deal compared to the freezer. Alright, let's open it up. Everything still froze. Like I said, if my freezer is still running at 9 o'clock tonight, that'll be 10 hours. That will be the test. I do not want to go over the 10-hour mark, because I have to put everything up. When my girlfriend gets home, she's ready to go to bed. she actually has to get up very early and start her day tomorrow very early. So I need to have everything put up. So when she gets home, she can just eat and go to bed. So 10 hours is the longest I'm going to run this. But if it's still running at 10 hours, that's overnight. And tomorrow, hopefully, if this one doesn't start showing below 100%, at the 9-hour mark, 10-hour mark, this should have drawn something out. So maybe the display is tweaking or doing something with the display here. I don't know. Testing this one tomorrow will give me a good, how should I put this? It will give me a good limit on what this one can do. Because this one has just a little bit more power than this one. So if that one tomorrow runs this chest freezer for 10 hours and doesn't drop, or only drops a couple percentage points, then we'll know this one is accurate. Alright, that's it. I'm fixing to go. I will see you at 4:30. You know what? I am going to have to splice all these videos together. So I think what I'll do is from now I will check every 2 hours, because this is going to be a lot of splicing. And if things aren't really changing in that amount of time, there's no point me recording every single hour. Unless this shuts off, I will be back in 2 hours. That will be 5:30, then 7:30, and then at 9, maybe 9:30 if it's still running. Alright, I will be back in 2 hours. Bye. Okay, it is 5:30, and I'm going to take you over here. Now this finally did start registering on the display. It is down to 82.7%. Alright, so that's 82.7. Let me get this pen here. Now, I started this test at 11:30 a.m. from 100%. The display started reading and dropped around 4 o'clock. So it did take a while for this to actually drop down, and that was at 94.5. Then 4:30, it dropped down 91.6, and that was at 5 hours runtime. 5:30 is 82.7. That's a 6 hours runtime. Now, if it holds this pattern, which I don't know if it will or won't, I will see a little bit later. But if it holds this pattern, so basically I figure it used 20% of this battery pack capacity. So, and that's in 6 hours. Alright. And that's running my chest freezer. So 100% divided by 20, that is 5. That's 5 hours right there. Not 5 hours, excuse me, 5. 100% divided by 100 divided by 20 is 5. Alright, 5 times 6 hours is how I figure this, is 30 hours. I know it's a little confusing. Right now it's confusing to me. But if I use 20% and 6 hours, alright, 20% of 100, 20 goes into 105 times. That's where I got the 5 from. And then 5 times 6. I'm figuring 6 hours runtime for every one of these 5s. So every 20%, I figure, is using 6 hours. So that will leave 30 hours. So there should be 30 hours runtime on this with my chest freezer. Now it did start dropping rather quickly once it hit around the 4 p.m. mark, 4:30. So you can see from 4 p.m. at 94.5 to 4:30, 91.6. So it lost 3% there. Now from 4:30 to 5:30, this is only in an hour. It went from 91.6 to 82.7. That's a pretty good drop. So we'll see what this can actually do. Um, if it doesn't just automatically start dropping again like it was between 4:30 and 5:30, this should actually last a good, I don't know. I figure 24 to 30 hours. But we will have to see what this reads later tonight at 9. I will come back at 7:30. 7:30 will be 8 hours. I believe. 7:30. Yeah, 7:30 will be 8 hours. Um, at 8 hours, we'll see where this is at. Yeah, because 9:30 would be 10 hours. So we'll see where this is at 7:30, and then we'll try to figure it from there and see how long this would actually run my Arctic King chest freezer. Now, this has already charged fully over there. It did not need a bunch of charging. This one over here does have pass-through charging. Unfortunately, what's coming in is limited to, I believe, 70 watts. So anything above 70 watts that you're kicking out, pass-through's not going to help you because you're still only bringing in 70 watts. So if you can keep it under 70 watts, pass-through charging is perfect. You know, you can just plug something in and you're good to go. But on this, it was really interesting because it literally stayed 100% until around 4 p.m. That was 11:30 to almost 4. And it was 356 or something like that. And then it read 94.5%. So that was really interesting that it took, I think, 3.5, 4 hours, something like that. It took literally 3.5 hours to actually jump down from 100% to 94.5. Because I'm figuring, say, 4 o'clock, 4 p.m. And it's still showing 82.7. So, if this actually just lasts, I will be so happy if this will just get my chest freezer literally to run, I don't know, 16 hours. I'd be thrilled. Now, I cannot leave my chest freezer plugged in, but I will see what this says in another 2 hours. Will be 7:30, and we'll see how much it actually drops from this in another 2 hours, and then 2 hours after that, we'll see about that too. All right, but so far, I mean, it is running the chest freezer without an issue. What I don't like about this is it took so long for it to actually drop from 100%, and then in an hour, it dropped almost 10% right there. That's just in an hour, and that's according to their digital display. That I do not like, but we'll see what happens in another 2 hours. So I will be back at 7:30. It is 5:36 now. All right, I'll be back. Bye. Okay, here it is at 7:30. Let me turn this one lamp light on. Hopefully this helps. We're now down at 56.2. Now what I did was I went through and I remade my paperwork here. So at 56% left, we've ran this 8 hours. Now it's going to be interesting to see what happens at 10 hours. But so far it's doing alright. Let me move this. Here is the, let me try to get some more light so you can see this. Test started, 11:30, 100%. By 4 p.m. the display showed 94.5. By 4:30 it was down to 91.6, and that was at 5 hours. 5:30, 82.7. 6:30, 70.9, and 7:30, 56.2. Now this was a gigantic drop from 70.9 to 56.2. and that's literally in an hour. So from 4:30 to 5:30, I mean, that was a big drop, and then a smaller drop, and then a huge drop from 70.9 to 56.2. That's a pretty big drop in just an hour. But it has been running 8 hours. Now I'm going to go over something real quick. If you want to hook up solar charging, if you want to hook up a 12 volt plug, I'm going to show you how to do it on the cheap end. If you have a 12 volt power plug or a cigarette lighter, this cable came with this power station. Now you can cut the wire right here, and you can put ends like this on. Make sure you put these ends on this part, the part that plugs in, because these will plug into a cigarette lighter or a power plug, 12 volt plug. On the other end, you put, I apologize, I thought I had some of these and I can't find them, so I just got an old one. You put some of these. These slide up into these. It goes like that. Well, basically slides up in there. Make sure you get the ones that fit this. But on the other end of the cord that you cut and strip back, you put these on there. If you want solar charging, you get a solar charge cord. This is a Bluetti charger cord. Now what I did to make this fit, I cut the end off. It had an end on it, I believe like this. I threw it away. And on this, you put some of these ends right here. So your cable here is going to look like this. You know, with both ends. These right here will be on this part of the cable. Now make it as close to the inverter, not inverter, but the power station as possible. And the reason you put ends like this on everything else is you want these to be able to plug into your cigarette lighter or power station, not power station, excuse me again. It's kind of dark over here. I'm having trouble seeing. Your 12 volt port. Now, I did not tighten these down. As you can see, the wires, they're not that big, but they're big enough. This will fit here. As you can see. And with these ends on, you can put something like that there. So you can use these 12 volt ports that are on this machine here. It also fits, it's a little tight, but it will fit, the solar charging port. So if you have these replaceable ends, well, these ends that go together, right? Now this is a little bit, I believe, big to fit in that one, but you get my drift. You need to get the ones that will fit in here. And if you put those on your solar charger, then, like I said, these will already be on here, and this will be on here. And then those can just plug together, and that also creates your solar charging cable out of the cable that they sent right there. So all you need to do is get a couple of these, and a couple of these that will fit in those, and you can create your own wires out of the wire that they sent that will let you use the 12 volt and the solar charge. Alright, let's get back to this. At 7:30, it's down to 5602. That's 8 hours runtime. I do believe this will have no issue literally running for 10, 12 hours, maybe longer. So, with the modifications that I have made, or I'm going to make, like I said, I do have these, it's not an issue, but I do need to get some of these that fit up in there. But with the modifications, with the cable, I can use, and a purchase of a solar cable. This was $9. I did cut the end off. You can see the wire, red and black. Red and black. So it's not that hard to figure out. On if you're using a cigarette lighter, red is in the middle right here. This one. And black is right there, right here. So with this simple modification to this one existing cable, you can still use this the car charger. You can use a 12 volt, or you could use solar to charge this with. Now, let's see. It is 7:38, and this dropped down to 5302, and at 7:30 it was 5602. So it dropped another 3% from, in basically 8 minutes. If this machine lasts 10 to 12 hours, I'll be happy with it. I'm much more happy now that I figured out how to rig all this up to where I can use solar charging. I don't have to, worry about the right size cables. All I did was buy a Bluetti cable. And you can buy these cables like this with no ends on them, fairly cheap. I already had a cigarette lighter, but I do have a 12 volt power port coming. And I have a bunch of these. So all I need to do is get these that fit in here. And then I can put the ends on. This will go here. Everything else will have these ends on it. That way it plugs in here. Now, when everything's plugged in, I would wrap a piece of electrical tape around each one of these. I want to make sure nothing hits or touches. But using a little bit of electrical tape to be able to use the solar charging and the 12 volt off of this machine, basically for, I don't know, a couple extra dollars, because you only need 2 of these. Let me show you. You only need 2 of these. And you will need 4 of something like this that will slide up into those to connect them. Like I said, unfortunately, I thought I had some of these that would fit those, and I'm out. I have no clue what I used them on, but I'm pretty sure I used them on something. And they're only a few bucks, $3 or $4, something like that. And these are fairly cheap. And then, like I said, wrap it with a little bit of electrical tape. And you can create a solar cable, your car charger, and have a 12 volt plug that will all plug into this and plug into your machine. Now, this is not the regular charger. The regular charger for this is that big cord over there. So this is just for solar charging using the 12 volt. If you want a 12 volt port on this, and the car charging. It will not really affect the power of this, having these on here. And like I said, just make sure if you do this, make sure the end you cut that plugs in, if you plan on using a 12 volt port, make sure these are on these wires here. And then the ones you get that fit up in there, because see right here, this 12 volt port and the 12 volt plugs that you buy will have the right size that fits in here. These fit perfectly on here. And a 12 volt port will come with these attached to where these, it just slides up in here. So if you want 12 volt a port, 12 volt plug, if you want car charging and solar charging, you can use the one cable that came with it. You just have to cut your cable and buy a couple ends. As you can see, that's fully charged. I just let it go. 53.2. It has been running 8 hours. Alright, let's see how it looks on the inside. Everything's still perfectly froze. Okay, I will come back in another, well, it's 7:43. I can probably get a 10, I can definitely get a 10-hour test in, which will be 9:30. I may be able to get a little bit longer test. Once again, you can use the cable that comes with it. You just have to buy a couple ends, and that'll give you 12 volt. Now, it is a little bit tighter going in here, but it does go. That'll give you solar charging capabilities, and of course the car charging you will still have. If you absolutely must, there is another way you can do this. I don't advise it, but I mean, you can if you had to. You can always just cut it, strip your wires, and then wire nut these together. Red on red, black on black. But you would not be able to use any type of 12 volt port or 12 volt plug. But if you just want solar charging without that, hey, go for it. Personally, I would like to get the most out of this machine, and I just had to sit down and think about it a minute. What would be the easiest and probably the cheapest way for you to get solar charging, car charging, a 12 volt port, all on this machine? And this is probably the cheapest way. Buying some of these, and the stuff that goes up, slides up in there. As you can see here, it slides perfectly on a cigarette lighter, and those would slide perfectly on a 12 volt port. That's what I'm saying. You get these and get the insides. I think these may be a little too big. I can't really tell. No, actually it fits. So there we go. And you can see what I'm talking about, sliding them together. And once again, wrap some electrical tape around this. You do not want the positive touching the negative, but you can use this one cable for solar charging and a 12 volt port and car charging if you buy some of these little adapters, connectors, whatever you want to call them. And there we go. Just pull that apart, and that fits perfectly inside here. And what do you know? Alright, I'm fixing to go. This is down to 53.2 and it is 7:46. I will check back at 9:30. That's another 2 hours, and let you know how this is working. So far, would I spend 168 bucks on this to get 8 hours running my chest freezer? Yes. Because in 8 hours, especially in a small chest freezer, your food can literally be soaked in water and it can start to go bad within 8 hours. So if I could get even 10 hours out of this machine, and it does say 10 hours for a 50-watt mini fridge, which this is, I believe, more than 50 watts, but it does say 10 hours for a 50-watt mini fridge. Now, the person I bought this from said they didn't think it would run a chest freezer, but I did the numbers, and I'm like, yeah, it should have no issue. And you can see how it's jumping. So, if I actually got 10 hours or anything longer out of this, it would make me thrilled. One night alone, just to keep my food good. Now, I do have that I will be testing tomorrow on this chest freezer. I'm interested to see how long that one will last, because like I said, this one's supposed to be 518 watt hours, and that one's only 515 watt hours, but I've never checked to see what it'll do trying to run my chest freezer. These things stay in the box. I do charge them up. I really should charge them up more often, but they get charged like once a month to make sure they're fully charged. If you want to buy one of these, that is up to you. I left a link in the description of my last video about these. If you want to buy one of those, that's fine. The thing about that one is, you could actually cut this just like I did the one for here, and do the exact same thing on this cable for solar. So it doesn't matter to me which one you buy, if you buy either one or neither one. That is fine. I'm not telling you to buy any of them. That one, of course, does have the phone charging, if your phone can do that. This one also has the 12-volt port already on it. But it's going to be interesting to see how well this one does tomorrow, because I am washing clothes tomorrow, and it will be much, much hotter in here because I will be using the dryer. But once again, if you want, you could cut this cord right here and do the exact same thing. This would be facing this way, and this would be facing this way. And you can actually hook up a solar charge cable to a couple of these and plug them in, and you can still plug this in, but once again, you would have to wrap it with electrical tape where these are exposed so the wires don't touch. But other than that, that is one of the cheapest ways you're going to get solar charging on either one of these. You can use the cable that came with it, cut the cable, buy these ends, put ends on it, and on this one, since it does not have a 12-volt port or power port, 12-volt, like a cigarette lighter, you can actually use the cable that came with it and actually make a 12-volt port that will plug right in with the cable that came with this. Alright, I am fixing to go. It's already down to 50.3. Like I said, if it runs another 2 hours, I'm going to be happy with this, especially for the price. Now, I am running nothing except for my chest freezer. That's the only reason we have these. is because of our chest freezer. I apologize, this video is going to be super long with all the parts together, but I wanted to talk to you real quick about how you can add solar and a power port if you buy one of these, or how you can add solar if you buy one of those with just a couple parts from a hardware store, or you can buy them online, pretty reasonable. And some electrical tape. Like I said, you do not want those to touch, because the wires, you don't want them to touch and short out. So if you're using that, make sure the wires stay apart, and make sure you wrap them each individual. Like I said, if these are together, wrap those with electrical tape. If you're using something like this, it's no need, because this plugs directly in and it is automatically separated. Even on a power port, they are separated. But if you're using solar, something like that, and you will need to do that with this cable too, to plug it back in to make sure this charges and this charger works. But other than that, that's the cheapest, simplest way. You're going to get a 12 volt plug on this right here, and you can use solar charging without spending a lot of extra money. Alright, I will be back. Hell, it's already 8 o'clock. I will be back at 9:30. That will be my final numbers, showing on the numbers. Like I said, my girlfriend, she gets off at work at 10 tonight. I have to have all this mess cleaned up. And she has to eat. She comes in, eats, goes straight to bed, because she has to be up early tomorrow to be back to work. It's how her schedule's set up. If this lasts 10 hours, and say there's even 20% left, you figure you'll probably get another hour out of it, I will be thrilled. I will test this one tomorrow. This one will have much of a harder time, because I will be running my dryer tomorrow. I wash clothes on Saturday, and unfortunately, by the time I get this video done, and splicing all the parts together, it will probably be Saturday before I upload this. So I will probably upload that one on Sunday, or it may be next week, so I actually have a video to upload next week. Alright, I am fixing to go. I will see you at, I said what, 9:30, so just over an hour and a half. I will see you then. Bye. Okay, I hope you can hear me. I am back. It is 9:30. I do have to make dinner tonight. I'm making broccoli cheddar rice with chicken and some peaches, and my girlfriend can eat that tonight and take some of this to work tomorrow. Let's go check this power station out. Now this has been at 38.5 for a little bit of time here. I'm not sure if it's actually registering right or not. And maybe it could be like it was at 100%. It took forever for it to register. So let's go through the numbers here. If this is correct, we basically used 62% out of this power station. Now let's go through the numbers here. Of course, let me bring this over here so you can see it better. It is 9:30 at night, 9:31. I started this test at 11:30 this morning. This gives me 10 hours at 9:30. Now the thing that I found interesting is this did stay at 100% literally for 3.5 hours. And then it dropped to 94.5. 4:30 to 5:30. It was a pretty huge drop there. 5:30 to 6:30, once again, a pretty big size drop. 6:30 to 7:30, a massive drop. 7:30 to 8:30, another huge drop. And 8:30 to 9:30, pretty much nothing. I mean, it was really slow here compared to the other numbers. And I did take this straight from the display every hour. And actually, up here at 11:30, I did not count it. I believe I videoed, but I didn't put the time from 11:30 to, like, 4. because it stayed at 100%. So you can see here, this is a 10-hour test. After 10 hours, my freezer is still frozen solid. Nothing's changed here. Okay, so let's talk about this real quick. Let's talk about what I like and what I hate. What I like about it is it has power, because there were such power drops though in the numbers. When I was trying to figure this out earlier, my numbers were way off, because like I said, there were huge massive power drops, and it could literally be reading one thing 1 minute, and then next time it could be like 10% lower. So that's the one thing I don't like about this one. Like I say, it will power a chest freezer. This is a 3.5 cubic foot Arctic King chest freezer. Earlier in the video, I did show you how you could use the cord to get a 12 volt plug going on, solar charging. Pretty simple stuff. So, what do I think about this? If the numbers are correct, we used just over 60%. Now, I don't know if this thing's going to suddenly drop again like it's been doing, but this is a 10-hour test. I think this will go for 12, maybe 14 hours, maybe longer. But since I can only do a 10-hour test on this, I can't tell you exactly how long it would take before this dies. Like I said and earlier, my girlfriend gets off at 10. She comes home. Tonight's Friday. She has to be at work early on Saturday, so she comes home. She eats. She goes to bed. And she has to get up early and be back at work in the morning. So what I think about the power station. For the price, it's actually pretty good. Would I pay like $500 for this? Absolutely not. Anything under $200 is a good investment. Now, would I like it to have a 12 volt port instead of these little bitty plugs? Absolutely. But since it doesn't, I can only talk about how it is. It does run my chest freezer. That's all I care about. I'm not plugging anything else into this power station if the power goes out. 10 hours, if it lasts for 12 hours, even better. But 10 hours would hopefully get me through the night to where I can hook up my stuff on my solar to run my chest freezer off of. It is not very heavy. I mean, it has a little weight to it. Is it worth you purchasing this? That is entirely up to you. I will not tell you one way or the other. All I can do is give you my opinion on it. If the display worked correctly, if it was not stuck at 100% for 3.5 hours, and then you can see just massive power drops on the display itself, and it has been at 38.5 probably for 15 minutes. So I'm just wondering if it's starting to act like it did at 100%. I don't know, but it is working. Like I said, this is a 10-hour test. It did pass the 10-hour bookmark I set. It is 9:37, and at 9:30 was the 10-hour mark. So, did it pass that? Absolutely. would I suggest you buy one of these? Well, like I said, it depends on you, what you're looking for. If you're looking for something to plug a like ARB fridge in, this does have the inverter, but drawing from the 12 volt actually uses less power because the inverter doesn't have to be on. I will test my other one tomorrow on this machine, my chest freezer, give it a 10-hour run time, because that's how long my girlfriend will be gone tomorrow. We'll start it in the morning. I apologize. I wanted to get this video uploaded tonight, which is Friday, but with me having to merge all these parts of these videos together, it will be tomorrow before I upload it, which will be Saturday. This is the test. If that is right, we have only used a 62%, 61.5%, but I'd say 62%. And if this did last, I'm not saying it will, but since we use 62% at 38.5%, you could probably, if this is correct and it works like it's supposed to, you may be able to get another 5 hours out of it. I would say 12 hours. I'd be happy with 12, but unfortunately I have to stop the test at 10. I have to, clean everything up, put this on a charge. Whatever you do not want to leave this battery low. Anyway, I hope you got some information out of this. If you want to buy one of these, it is the Homeyears 518 watt hour. Remember that, 518 watt hour with a 500 watt pure sine wave inverter for your 110 plugs. Anyway, I am fixing to go. I appreciate you watching. If you made it this far to the test, I am very tired, but I still have to make dinner. Put all this, put this up. I already put the other one up. I will get it out in the morning and start running that test tomorrow. I do believe I will skip a lot of time on that tomorrow because merging all these videos together takes a long time. And there's a good chance the sound could get mixed up or the video could, get screwed up. So I will make less videos tomorrow on the other one. But all I can tell you is it works. It does work with a 3.5 cubic foot Arctic King chest freezer. I have shown you the inside of the freezer. And once again, if this is correct, if it is correct, there's still 38.5% battery capacity in this little power station. That would probably be about another 5 hours. So, if that's right, and it doesn't just automatically jump down to like 20% or something, if that's right, it would probably give you 15 hours. Now, I'm going to say 12 to 14 to be on the safe side. If you have a chest freezer like this, your chest freezer will be different than this one. Okay, I hope you saw that. It did jump a little bit. Alright, it's jumping down to 35.6. Okay. See, that's what this one does. It'll stay on something for a long time and then it'll just jump down. And I believe what happened was the compressor kicked on. But then it'll just lower the numbers. So I'm going to figure 12 hours to be on the safe side. You will apparently get different results than I got. Is it good for you? I don't know. It's $168 right now. Maybe it'll go up in price. Maybe it won't. You're more than welcome to tell the seller you saw this item on YouTube or don't. I do not get paid. This is not a paid, review. They did not send me this for free. I do not get stuff for free. I do not get paid. I am not sponsored. This is my opinion. Something like this to keep your food good even for 10 hours in a power outage. If all you're running is your chest freezer off of this, it's a great deal. It can keep your food good. I did open the top lid several times. You saw that. Anyway, I'm fixing to go. I apologize. This video is probably going to be an hour long by the time it's completed. I don't know if anybody's got to sit through that. But 10-hour test. See, that's what it does. It just jumps down and drops a lot of voltage at one time. Anyway, a 10-hour test. It did run my chest freezer for 10 hours. That's all I cared about. I will get all these videos merged together and upload them. Unfortunately, it'll be tomorrow, which will be Saturday. Anyway, that's it. Everyone have a really good night. If you have any questions for me about how I made the connections, or I'm going to make the connections for the 12 volt or the solar, or if you have any questions on where I bought the solar cable that I'm using, I'm more than welcome to share that information with you. But it's pretty simple to set up. It's pretty simple to use. AC is here, DC's here, and the light is here. Alright, I'm fixing to go. Yeah, it's already 9:44, so I have to start getting dinner ready. I do appreciate if you made it this far. Thank you. Everyone have a good night, and expect another video on my other power station probably Sunday. I may be able to get it finished tomorrow, but doubtful, so it'll probably be Sunday when I upload that one, or next week, because I really don't have much I can upload as far as videos anymore, because, well, we're broke with my girlfriend was in the hospital and we have medical bills, so I don't buy anything new. All I can do is review stuff I have. But is it a good deal? For 168 bucks for keeping my food good even for 10 hours? If it lasts 12 hours, that'd be even better. I don't know if it will. I don't have a chance to test that because my girlfriend's only gone for 10 hours. Really, midnight? Anyway, that's it. I appreciate it. Everyone have a good night or day or whenever you see this video. Bye.